Okay, so since things have slowed down on people joining the call, I'll go ahead and kick things off. My name is Amy Willard. I am the Assistant Treasurer of the Hope Scholarship Program. And I'm very excited today to introduce Jody Olivetto from the West Virginia Higher Ed Policy Commission. And she is going to help walk our Hope Scholarship families through the Level Up program requirements. And so, Jody, I will turn things over to you.
Thank you so much, Amy. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and let me get my PowerPoint up very quickly, and then I'll share my screen. I'll let you know, Amy, if you could please watch the chats because I am on a single screen and it gets kind of confusing. I'm not going to worry about that, but if you could do that for me, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
And we'll go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and PowerPoint. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll just put that down in the corner. Well, welcome and thank you for joining us this morning. I'm really excited to share information about the Level Up West Virginia program with everybody. We are in our third year of a pilot program, and I'll go over all that with you. I want you just to be comfortable to ask any questions. You can either throw them in the chat or you can say, excuse me, and I don't mind if you interrupt, because if you have a question right now, I would rather address it while we're talking about it than to have to go back and try to regroup. So this is going to be a conversation between all of you and myself. You will also have my contact information that Amy's going to share with you. So if you have any questions after the fact, I welcome you to go ahead and email me at any time, and I will get back with you. So we'll go ahead and get started. And let's just jump in. Let me see here if I can get this moving. And I can't. Let's see here. There we go. All right. So Level Up, like I said, Level Up West Virginia is a pilot program that was launched in 2023. It was created by Legislative Action, and it is a 4-year private program, pilot program involving dual credit and high school graduation and college programs. So before I even jump into the rest of the presentation, let's define dual credit as it means for Level Up. Dual credit for Level Up means a course that counts not only toward high school graduation, but also to program completion on the post-secondary level. So it kind of mirrors early enrollment. However, early enrollment doesn't necessarily mean it'll count toward your high school graduation. And with Level Up, it must count toward both high school graduation and college completion of a program, pathway, or certificate. So please note that it has to hit both areas to be part of Level Up. So Level Up was launched in 2023. We had $4.2 million to start this program. And it was to cover tuition for our high school juniors and seniors for the dual credit courses. And we started off, we thought with a good chunk of change, but we quickly realized that did not cover what we needed, and we had to increase that funding. In 2024-25, that was year 2 of our program, they increased our funding to $5.8 million. With an estimated total amount of savings at that point, $11 million. And now this year coming up in the fall of 26, they will be our final year of the pilot. That's when the legislators will decide if they're going to continue the program. There's no guarantee, as we know, but we are hoping that it does continue because it is becoming very successful, and our funding has even increased. Level Up is backed by 2 pieces of legislation or code that will help give it teeth. We have state code, which really established this whole program. It stated the parameters of the 4-year program. It defined who our eligible students are, and it gave authority to the rulemaking process back over to HEPC, where I sit. So eligible students, which was defined by state code, were juniors and seniors in secondary, public education, homeschool, charter school, micro school, Learning Pod, and private schools. That's the language that code says. So that's the language that you're going to hear me say throughout the presentation this morning. Now we jump over to My Land HEPC series. It really dives into who that eligible student is, what the process is, what MOUs are. MOUs are agreements between the institution of higher education and the secondary school or student or any of those listed to the left on the screen. It talks about pathway approvals. It talks about institutional reimbursements and academic support for your students. Now, all of our dual credit courses must be in an approved career pathway. It states in code, these are the career pathways in the blocks that code states. You have a career pathway for IT or science, technology, engineering. You can read these, but it doesn't limit it to those pathways. It gave us the language at the bottom that says, and any other program that meets the workforce need in the state as determined by the Department of Commerce. So our institutions have been very creative with their pathways. They've included these, of course, but right now I think we have over 36 pathways that have been approved in the LevelUp process that covers so many areas and within our state and meets the needs of our state. I'm going to show you later on in the presentation what all of the pathways are and what institutions house those pathways. So I don't want to leave you with any guessing. At least you'll have a way to move forward. But know that not only does it have to be dual credit, but the courses must be in an approved career pathway with an institution within the state of West Virginia. I kind of hit on this earlier in the introduction, but we started out with $4.2 million with year one. Year 2 and 3, we didn't really get an increase after the 5.8. And then this coming year, our final year, the legislators gave us $500,000 more. So we have $6.4 million to move forward with appropriation funding for LevelUp. You might think that, boy, that's a lot of money, but in a moment, I'm going to give you our numbers and you're going to be shocked. What the program does is we reimburse the institutions. No funding goes to the students. No students should be charged for any tuition. This is a free program for our West Virginia students, juniors and seniors. It pays $75 per credit hour. Once the student is enrolled, the institution will send registrations to us and we give them 60% of that money. And then upon final completion with a grade, we pay out the final 40%. Students have no out-of-pocket fees for tuition, none at all. Now, there might be textbook fees. Our goal is to remove all of that, so it truly is zero cost to the student. But we are implementing OER, Open Education Resources, which are online resources, which would be free to the students, but not all of our programs and not all of our classes have that at this time. We are building that now with funding from grant monies, but we will not see that completely adopted or adapted at this point. So there might be a fee for textbooks or for materials. Sometimes the institution may pick that up. They're not required to. Sometimes if it's a county school system, the county will pick that up. And sometimes that does fall on the family. But tuition is completely free. Program parameters state that it must be juniors and seniors only, unless, and there's another caveat in code, unless it is a program that has already been approved with a waiver that says that the freshman or sophomore have to have classes because it's part of that program and it goes in their scope. The only program right now that we have approved for freshmen and sophomores is the Grow Your Own program with the Department of Education, and that is eligible for only county juniors and seniors. So at this point, for any homeschool, Hope School scholarship, you must be a junior or senior, no exceptions, unless a waiver is submitted. And right now we don't have any. It's state funded at no cost to our students. The courses are taught by post-secondary faculty, or if it's a high school teacher teaching it at the county level, they must be approved and meet the requirements for that institution. So these are usually adjunct faculty or college faculty teaching these courses. Each pathway must have an MOU that governs that partnership. So the MOU is between the institution on one end and then the school on the other. So that the school district, the homeschool, the private school, or the charter school. So if any of you are interested in this, you are going to have to build an MOU with the institution, and I'll talk about that later, to get this approved so your student can enroll. And remember, every pathway is aligned with workforce. It has to be aligned with a career. Here's our growth. Student enrollment the very first year, a little over 4,500. Last year, at the end of the year, we had almost 9,000 students enrolled. And then this year, the fall semester only, we have already reached $8,000. We are gonna surpass that 9,000 from last year easily once we hit the spring semester. Our funding last year with 8,937 students, last year we exceeded our funding for last year. So we were very grateful for the additional funds that are coming our way for the 26-27 school year. But as you can see with our growth, we're going to have to be aware of our limitations. Right now, we're not capping anybody at number of credits they can take or how many credits can be offered. But please note, due to funding, changes may occur after next year to make sure we stay within our parameters for the dollar sign. Cost savings for our students and our families in West Virginia, it's growing. An average state savings per student is $2,100 to $4,200 a year, depending on how many courses that student takes. And like I said before, we aren't limiting courses at this time, but we do want parents and students to be aware of being intentional with their courses. And I'll go into that in a moment. We want to make sure we stay aligned to those pathways. Students can earn up to almost 30 credits, almost a full year of college free by the time they graduate high school. I want you to be intentional with your scheduling. Dual credit and AP courses in West Virginia are all weighted on a high school transcript. What we have, we do have some students in our state that chase the dual credit, that chase the AP, and hoard those credits to get those points because it counts toward valedictorian. And what happens is you see students who are hoarding credits graduate with a large amount of credits in high school that may really affect their financial aid when they go into post-secondary ed. So you might think, wow, I can start stacking these credits and get the bonus points for the weighted credits. But know that if you graduate with excessive credits in post-secondary, it can affect your financial aid moving forward. So we want you to be aware of that. Tana's on board with me today. She's in our financial aid office, and she's going to help answer any questions that that might occur during the session about that. But if you have any after the fact, I can get you to that person. I want you to avoid credit shopping from institution to institution, because that also gets confusing and can play havoc on your level up. You really want to have an MOU with your homeschool and one institution. That streamlines the process, it keeps it organized, and makes sure we don't lose credit or your student doesn't lose time for repeated credits. If a student should happen to take, let's say, English 101 at Marshall and English 101 at State, they're not going to be paid for the second time. That's why we really want to avoid going from institution to institution. Pardon me. I want you to protect your financial aid eligibility. Make sure you're keeping track of your total credits at college entry versus your remaining aid eligibility. We are counseling families on Pell Grant lifetime limits because once those are exhausted, they can't be restored. And we want to make sure we connect our students with our institutional financial aid people earlier rather than later. Because what might happen is if you have excessive credits, and let's say your, let's say your financial aid is dependent on a full time student status, and you get to your final semester and you've taken so many courses and you can't reach full-time status, we want to try to avoid that. There are ways that we can protect that, but we want you to be aware of that. So be very intentional on your scheduling. Stay within your pathway of your MOU, and that will really protect you and your student. This is an addendum or clarification, interpretation of what eligible student means. And as you see, at HEPC, we were very intentional that we wanted LevelUp to be for every student in West Virginia. And that is why all of those in red in the top are listed. Where there is a concern is if you are in, let's say, Harrison County, and you take a course in LevelUp, it may not transfer to another county because the MOU with that LevelUp course is with Harrison County and that institution, not with anybody else. The same holds true with homeschool students. If you have an MOU with you and let's say West Virginia State, and your student takes courses their junior year, and they transfer to a county school system their senior year, please note that that county may have they have the opportunity to say they don't accept that course as a dual credit course because they didn't have that MOU with that institution. They may have an MOU with that institution for courses that are set up within that county, but your MOU is for you and the institution, not with you, the institution, and a county. So beware of this caveat because things could change. You might think, oh, everything's going to transfer over in my dual credit world, and they may not. Please speak to your county representative if you choose to transfer back to a county to make sure you know what's going to transfer in at that LevelUp or dual credit weighted grade or course. So where do you start? You need to decide if you want to be a part of LevelUp and take advantage of the benefits of having tuition paid for dual credit courses. So you would need to decide on what pathway your student wants to enroll. You would then need to choose an institution to partner with. Once you partner with that institution, you would develop an MOU. And that MOU names the two parties. It names the pathway that they're going or enrolling in. And then it gives a detailed list of the courses within that pathway that fall under dual credit LevelUp. It's a one-to-one correspondent. So if you are taking English 101 on the college level, it must correspond to English 11 or whatever it is on your level. English 102 must have a one-to-one match with English 12. If you're doing anatomy at the college, it must correspond to some course within your curriculum that counts for both high school graduation and college completion of that program. They won't complete the program in high school. It's part of a pathway. They are starting it, but there must be a one-to-one correspondence. All of our pathways have higher level courses that our high school students will not take, and you will not see those on the LevelUp MOU. The MOU is not a program completion curriculum. It is only a pathway at the high school level. The institution will then send the MOU to me, to HEPC, and we will process it. We only process and approve MOUs once a year, and this is very important, and this is why it's in red. Those end on September the 15th. If you would submit an MOU to me on September the 16th, your student would not be eligible for courses until the following fall. So if you want your students to be enrolled this fall, your MOUs need to be approved by September the 15th to enroll your students. So make sure you have that date circled on your calendar. Once an MOU is approved, your student may enroll in courses and may enroll in the pathway. This is, before I go into this, because I'm going to go to another site, do I have any questions about that overview? Those are big boulders, but do I have any questions, or are there any in the chat?
There are no questions in the chat. And Jody, I think when I had set up the meeting, I had disabled microphone. So I think we
Oh,
might
that's
have to
great.
do, I think we might have to do everything in the chat if people have questions.
That's perfectly fine. So please place your questions there. No question is too small, and no question is, as I always said when I was in the classroom, there's no question no, that's a silly question. There's no silly questions, because if you don't understand it, you're not the only one sitting there probably with that same question. So please, please, please put your questions in the chat. So if we go back here and I'm telling you to decide on a pathway and to choose an institution, that's a lot, but we have information to help you. We have a website. The website, you're going to get my slide deck, so you'll have that. But the website is on the West Virginia Climb website, and I'm going to walk you through that because this is where you're going to gain a lot of your information. So let's see if it comes up. Amy, can you see the website?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. This is our website, LevelUp West Virginia. And on this website, it really has everything you need to start the process. We have the overview, and I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm just going to show you that it gives us the purpose and the history. And this is all the stuff that I've kind of given you today. This is how to participate, key steps for our students. I gave you that a little bit ago. Your eligibility. Now remember, if you're going to enroll in a college, you have to meet their eligibility requirements. There are GPA requirements, and that's at each institution. You're going to have to meet with your institution on that. So you will have to meet any of the college requirements to enroll your junior or senior in that pathway and meet their admission standards. That's going to be at an institutional level. And if you have any questions about what those standards are, you need to reach out to that institution. I don't have all of that information, but if your student meets admission requirements and they're a junior or senior in West Virginia, then they can enroll in LevelUp once they choose a pathway and once they have their MOUs approved. This is where all the beauty comes in. This is your dashboard. Let me see if I can make this just a little bigger so you can see. If you are questioning what pathways exist, right here. This is all of the pathways that have already been approved in West Virginia. If you want to know what institution has those pathways, come over here to institution. And let's say you want to look at state, West Virginia State. Right here, you can look and you can see here are all the pathways West Virginia State University has with each, this is with their counties. And you can see they have business. You scroll down, they have criminal justice. And I'm looking here on the left. You scroll down, they have education. And then it tells you what counties they have these MOUs with. And then if you scroll to the very bottom, you might see pathways with homeschool students. This is where you're going to be able to find what pathways are available and what institutions have those pathways. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to then reach out to those institutions. You see here real quick, and then the requirements. This goes into what students need to know, what parents need to know, how counselors need to know, and then your MOU requirements. Let me go over here really quick to the MOU requirements. And that's everything that I had already listed today for you. So once you have your pathway, once you know what institution you want to work with, you're going to reach out to your institution. Right here are our institutions and your contact, your point of contact for LevelUp. You have their email address and their phone number. You would reach out to them and see if they're willing to enter into an MOU with you. And then you will start building that MOU with them. And then they then submit it to us. You have to have your signatures, you have to have the institution signatures, and then it comes to me for review and for approval. Now, know that when you do build your pathway, general education courses are the majority of our courses for our pathways. However, you must have one career-specific course approved in every pathway. It can't be strictly general ed. So if you are looking at a business pathway, there must be a business course. If you are looking, that is dual credit. If you're looking at a welding pathway, there must be a welding course that is dual credit. And your institutions know this, and they know that the MOU will not be approved unless there is a one-to-one match and at least one course meets that pathway requirement for the career. So they've given you your information on who to contact. These are the people you contact for institutional questions. If you have level up questions, please contact me at any time. My information will be there when you get this slide deck, and you will be able to contact me anytime. So parents, here's what we need to know. The student must be enrolled in a pathway. They must be a junior or senior. And we will cover, HEPC through appropriations, legislative appropriations, will cover the cost of college courses only for students in an approved pathway and taking those courses in that approved pathway. And the student will not be charged. You should never see a tuition bill if you are approved and have an MOU that is valid. You should not see a tuition bill for any of the courses listed on that MOU. If you do, reach out to that institution and say, hey, this is part of our level up pathway and we shouldn't be charged. And then I'm going to encourage you again, if you have institution questions, contact that college or university. If you have level up questions, contact me. And right there is my email address. And no question is too small. And you can ask as many questions as you want. I want to make sure you're very clear on moving forward. And we welcome every homeschool student, Hope School scholarship student in our program. So we're anxious to be working with you. And I'll let my points of contact know that I've met with you. I meet with them every month, and I meet with them next month, and I'll let them know, be aware, you may be getting a lot of phone calls or emails because we really push the program out. I really now think this is the entire state. Do I have any questions? I can go into the chat now and see. We don't have any. Let's see here. So do we have any additional questions on, we have Tana here for financial aid. I'm here to help clear up anything about the Level Up program itself. And we are entering our last year. Oh, thanks, Tana. I appreciate that. In the chat, Tana put her information in there if you have any questions. That's a great question, Natalie. Are classes virtual or in person or both? They're both. It just depends on what your institution is offering. Some courses are virtual, some courses are in person. When we're working with the county, some of them are in person at the county in the high school. You would need to probably work with an institution that have virtual courses that work for your homeschool student. Great question. And this is what I say anytime I meet with parents. Yes, Level Up is for every high school junior, senior. Does that mean every high school junior or senior will be successful at Level Up? No, it's very important that we counsel our students. We have built within our HEPC series language, every Level Up student receives an academic advisor from faculty at the institution that really gives you an overview on what it looks like, what it means to look at a college syllabus, what it means add or drop, what it means, does an F really count against me? Yes, for your entire college career. Sometimes we counsel students out of dual credit. We'd like to counsel them out before it counts against them, because those Fs and Ds, it takes a long time to get those worked off of a college transcript, and they don't just disappear. So it's very important that you know what admission requirements are, but it's okay that if your student starts these courses, if they're struggling, know that it's better to have a withdrawal than it is to have a fail. So we provide counseling, academic advising to all of our level up students. And once you start working with an institution, you'll meet that person. And I do believe across all of it, we have amazing people setting in-house at the institutions that are really dedicated to our level up students. This is a wonderful opportunity. Your student could graduate high school with a semester of college or a year of college under their belt if they stick to the program, if they stick to their MOU and their plan and make it work for them. It's choreographing a dance. You really need to know what's available and what your end goal is, but it's a wonderful opportunity for our students in West Virginia. Any other questions? Amy, please shoot anybody our way
Okay.
if they contact you. And at any time, if you want to revisit this or you need additional information as a whole, we can provide that. Like I said, these were the big rocks, but we can definitely go into the weeds if you want us to at any time. Is there any issue if they already have some college credits? Well, not with Level Up. And Greg, thank you for asking. I mean, we won't go back and reimburse it. Funding only starts once an MOU starts. There may be concerns with financial aid. Tana, you want to kind of address that? And that's like I said, when you start stockpiling those credits, there may be a concern later. Tana, I just saw you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, I did. Good morning, everyone. So as students get further into their actual program, once they are enrolled as a college student, you are usually required to be enrolled full-time to be able to receive federal financial aid and state financial aid. So as Jody was alluding to earlier, if you take so many credits as a high school student that are duly enrolled, when you get to that last year in college, you may not be able to get to that full-time status, and then you won't be able to utilize that federal financial aid. We do have some things in place for state financial aid for students to be able to still continue to receive their state financial aid, but it doesn't affect their federal financial aid. So they could end up counting themselves out. And we're really saying an excessive amount. So students can get 15, 30 credits in dual enrollment, and they may not find themselves in that situation. But we have some students who are graduating with over 60 college credits as a high school senior. So just be aware of that. And that is where the counseling comes in. So reach out and figure out what is the best course of action for your particular student. What do they want to do after? Where are they going to go? How many credits do they already have? All these things would be factored in.
Thank you so much, Tana. Great questions are coming in, so let's look at these. Amber asked, is there any advantage to trying to plan ahead now with a freshman? Yes, absolutely. You can start those conversations with your institution. You can say, I have a freshman. We would like them to be involved and level up their junior or senior year, hoping that the program continues. We'll know by the end of this year if it does. But you can start planning that. You can have your MOU approved. You get that MOU approved at the end of their sophomore year. You'll be able to then enroll ahead of time for their junior year and start taking those courses without missing a beat. So absolutely start planning, start reaching out, talk to those institutions who have the best, what institution might have the best program that meets your needs, and start talking to those points of contact. So start planning ahead, absolutely. And Mi Young, this is another great question. Does a student need to continue to the same institution after high school? No, they do not. This is an opportunity within the high school setting. They are not required to attend that same institution, and they're not required to complete this program. We have to remember these are juniors and seniors. I may want to be a teacher. I'm going to start in education. I take all these programs. I graduate high school. I get to college and go, you know what? I really think I'd rather go into nursing. You can change this isn't a major. You're not declaring a major. You're enrolling in a pathway within a state program. So you can change the institution when you go to college, and you can change your major. You are not signing anything saying I'm declaring my major until I graduate at all. So I want that to be very, very clear. So you can change. You can change within LevelUp. Say you start in education and your student goes into the education and they do 1 day of observation and go, I don't like kids. I don't want to do this, right? Contact that institution and say, listen, this pathway is not working for us. After this semester, we're not going to continue, but know that you can't start a new one until the next year because your MOU is for that one pathway. That one pathway. So I'm going to put a little bird in your ear. Don't change your major until after the end of the year. Take those general ed courses that will probably be in other classes, and I mean other pathways, and then change your pathway so you can start taking those specific courses the following year. Make sure you make the most of it. Is there a template for the MOU? There is, and our institutions have those because it goes through the institution. And so your institution has the template, and what it really lists are who the two parties are. It has a crosswalk between the classes and then a signature page. But yes, your institution has those. Does the MOU have to be renewed if they already have one from their junior year? Nope, it does not. And not unless there is a change. If they're changing to a different pathway, you would need a new MOU. But if it's in the same pathway, that MOU stays. Great question. And I can say,
I was going to say, are there any other questions? That way, we can be mindful of everyone's time.
thank you guys so much for that opportunity.
Yeah, and Jody, Tana, thank you so much for presenting to our Hope Scholarship families. Once we learned about this opportunity here at the treasurer's office, we wanted to make sure that our Hope Scholarship students and our IIP pathway, especially since they don't have school counselors that would be handling most of this for them, and it's going to be the parents. We wanted to make sure that we were getting the word out to all of our students. So we really appreciate this. We will, we are recording this. We will share the recording and share the slide deck, and then I had dropped your email address in the chat in case people have questions and want to get back with you. So last chance for questions. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.